Michael, we're now ready. If you would like to open with any messages before we go into questions.
Yes. Hello again.
Hi.
And welcome the newcomers that have not been here yet. And there is no mistake as to why you're here now. This date was specifically chosen for the channeling to prepare you. And so although some information that will come through may seem a little scary, we are sharing this information with you because we want you to know that you are going to be okay and that you do not need to be afraid. Depending upon your perspective or the perspective of others around you, things can vary in terms of fear. If you know what's coming and you're aware of it, you can then be prepared. The meditation that Nicolle guided you through is to connect you to Mother Gaia, to yourself, and to the Father, God, the universe. Because as we begin to see the 3D, the third dimension, crumble, it's terrifying for those who are not prepared. So it is important for you to ground yourself inside of your knowing with you and your connection to your God, so that you can be that space of fearlessness, of confidence, and of light for those around you. As you begin to ask questions, Mary has been a bit since she's done the channeling, so she's a little anxious. But she has told me today that she wants me to have full ability to communicate. She is afraid to share information that may make people in fear or that could harm anyone in any way. So at this point, I will be the one speaking through her. If at some point you ask a question or a personal question and a guide would like to speak through me, she will allow it as long as it is only of the utmost light for you and for all. She has given me permission to speak because she knows me, and it is extremely important to her that it is coming from this pure space of connection and not through her own ego, thoughts, or fear, or filter. If you ask a question and then she's not able to hear me directly, she will not be able to answer that question as it's not coming through for her. She will not use her own filters to respond. And as we move forward, just keeping in mind, again, as though some things may seem quite scary, to remember that grounding technique and to remember that you are all powerful entities and you are here for a reason. It's by design. You are here to find out the information that we are going to give to you because it is necessary for you to impact not only yourself but those around you. And with that, Nicolle, you can go ahead and begin asking questions.
Okay, I guess I'll start with a question and then we'll go this way around. I kind of want to revisit regarding that Joseph Gregory Hallett, the so-called claimant to the British or the throne of England. I don't know if it's considered British or throne of England, but where he's supposedly challenging the throne, saying he's the rightful heir. And I kind of wanted, as I kind of revisited some new information that he released, I kind of wanted to see if you have any insight there. And I'm not sure if Mary listened to what I shared with her on that as well.
She listened to some of it, yes. But she has been guided to not go too deep into one area because that was starting to stunt her ability to allow us to speak. Mm-hmm. And so she will dip in here and there in checking out information. But for the most part, she wants to make sure that she remains in this childlike space of welcoming the information fully. As far as that individual goes, yes, in fact, he is challenging that he is the rightful king. This, among many other things, is there to bring down those power structures. It is authentic. And what he has shared is authentic. There's information out that it is disingenuous or that it's not correct. And that is not true. But in this day and age, with all the information, when you seek it, you're going to find the answers. You have to go deeper than the surface level. And when you truly open your mind, things will be revealed. They've always been there, you just didn't see them. It depends on where you're at in your awareness. The information that he shared in that video and the space he's coming from is authentic and it is pure to help bring down that power structure. He is working with the light in connection with the other leaders that are working with the light in order to bring down the old power structures and these systems of the third dimension.
What is the current status of what's going on with like Queen Elizabeth and the throne in that transition of what he is making claim to?
In terms of the physical transfer of power, it's not physically appearing to have taken place at this point. But all of those power players that are at the higher parts that were a danger to humanity have been taken out.
Including the Queen?
Including the Queen. So everything that you're seeing on display right now is part of the process of awakening. Mary likes things at 100, so it's not fast enough. And so we keep continuing to tell her that you're taking, you're asleep human and guiding them along in the process. And so that the threat is gone. But by appearances, it's still in place because people could not handle the demise of everything that they know in front of them instantaneously.
Okay. But he will be then taking over the throne?
He will be taking over a place of power there. That structure may change. Something else to keep in mind as we share information is that timetables, time frames of things alter, as well as the participants and how they're reacting. It's ever-moving players and ever-moving timelines. So things, depending upon who's interacting, can change or shift or take a different approach, but keeping in mind that it is already done. Again, it's part of the process of awakening the sleepers. This does not mean that you're not in danger in terms of how or where or with whom you interact. And as we go through this questioning, we will also offer advice on how to stay protected, because it doesn't mean that you're not at risk. You have to be very careful and selective about where and with whom you interact, especially in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next round of questions.
Well, I guess more as a newcomer, I want to know more of our purpose. If that makes sense.
Of humanity at this time?
Yes, and us in the room too, I suppose.
Okay.
I don't know if
That's a great question. I think everyone is thinking the
not hating you
same
for the question.
thing. It's the purpose. It's a great question, and the reason being is because you had your purpose, or maybe you didn't, but you probably did in your third dimension world. Maybe it made sense. Maybe you had already started pursuing it. Maybe you were living it. And then all of a sudden with the shift, it may not make sense anymore. It may not make your heart happy anymore. And it may tell you that there is way more than you are even close to becoming aware of. This disconnection or this idea of your purpose is going to be slightly difficult to answer because it depends on the person. But you chose to be here during this time and space. And you chose to be here for this awakening. And so your participating in it will vary depending on who you are. But the crumbling of that third dimension and the letting go of everything you thought that was is your purpose right now. Being willing to let go and being willing to step into a space of unknown, which is quite terrifying for most. But trusting that you came here on purpose and you came here for a reason. And then those qualities that are supposed to emerge from you will, when they're needed. Your job is to open that up and allow it to come through. Listening to your instincts, listening to your gut, which is also your guides telling you where you need to be and what you need to be doing. But as far as purpose goes, it's quite different now than you ever would have thought before. It's so much greater. It's so much more important than the 3D. And it felt, even though maybe you were happy, it felt unfulfilling, and you all know that. And you knew you came here for more. And that inner spirit within you is really excited, by the way, even though you are maybe not. Because they've been waiting and waiting and waiting for this. And they've prepared you through your life experiences, through your ups and your downs, through what you thought were failures, through the loss of probably most recently, the loss of friends or family. All of a sudden, things that were fine in the third dimension, all of a sudden just don't work for you anymore. It's sort of the sifting away of what you don't need. And it is the collapse of that structure that has kept people asleep. And so as far as the purpose goes, the best advice or guidance we can give you is that your guides are telling you every day. Ask them and allow them to show you and tell you what you need to know. They want you to be healed during this time and take care of yourself during this time. But they also know that you're going through not only this spiritual space, but also a very physical change. And it's difficult to go through this. These downloads and the upgrade of vibrational frequencies, the breaking away of your physical body in a sense as it relates to the third dimension. And also as you walk through and are awakened, learning that much of what you've always known is not real. And depending upon what you ask for, it will be shown to you depending on what you're wanting to see. But at this point, it's that trusting in your higher self. It's that trusting in your God and in your purpose of why you came here. It's time to start to listen and let them tell you. It's time to allow them to guide you because you have not been in these dimensions in this way before. So you don't know. You can't know. That's where faith steps in. Hopefully I answered that question.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you top that. Any questions?
Especially if it can, questions that since we have it recording, if you can do ones that we could all benefit from the answers to, whether it's to do with humanity, our planet, consciousness beyond on that level, and then we'll reserve some of the personal questions for after.
So there's a lot of heightened awareness around vibration frequencies right now. Could you help us maybe understand better or point to a direction of frequency we should focus on or be more sensitive towards at this time?
Yes, frequencies are something that some of you have been aware of for quite some time. And some of you are more sensitive to its awareness of it or more than others. Some of you could control that. And you were able to intentionally control vibration. And you studied and you read books and you went to seminars and you experienced plant medicine and you participated in those realms of that grander knowing of self. At this time, because of the power structure being taken out, there's much confusion in the world. And there's much confusion among the power structure for power and control. They're fighting. And so with that distraction came the oversight of the fact that you can now access your vibration to its fullest degree. In terms of how you should vibrate and where and the attention to which type of vibration you should focus on in order to rise above the third dimension and into higher levels, frequency, it's understanding where you're vibrating at and when, and how to attune to the higher frequencies and how to move through the lower. So for example, maybe in most of your life you're perfectly happy, but in financial or in your career or in your relationship, you are not happy. And you're vibrating at a space of frustration or sadness or fear in that specific area. It is important that you work through that vibration into the next levels. So not everything needs to be worked on to the same degree as other things. And you know this because you'll know when your heart is happy, when you can be at peace in the present moment, is when you're vibrating at a higher frequency. The aspects of your life that take you down to those lower parts are putting you in a space of force, not power, and not in the space of your flow. Again, this varies for everyone because everyone has different aspects. What I would recommend is writing down the things that you are satisfied with or that you feel make you happy, especially at this time with the third dimension crumbling, because you're more aware of the spaces of your unhappiness. So as that veil has been lifted, I'm pretty sure everyone has experienced something they didn't know was there. And all of a sudden it became quite obvious. And you thought, oh my goodness, why didn't I see this all along? And you realized that it didn't make you happy. In fact, your heart has been imprisoned. And so it's with self-seeking those spaces where your heart is heavy, where your soul is trapped, and allowing yourself to work through them. Not to battle that, not to shove it down, because that's not going to work anymore. Identify it, allow it to be there, and ask for help. Ask for help from your guides and from your God and from the universe to help you move through it. Because once you ask for help, they're there, your ancestors, your guides, everyone that is around you constantly. Your higher self is there to lead you as well. So you may not know how to fix it in the third dimension. It may seem unfixable because it is in this dimension. Asking for help and allowing yourself to free your heart in those spaces is what's going to allow you to vibrate at a higher frequency. It's going to feel like work right now, but that shift is coming, and it's coming quickly, and it's coming for the entire world. And you will feel it, and it will not be so much work. Right now, we're still in that struggle.
Does that have something to do with what's been rumored about the event.
Yes.
Can you maybe touch on what this event is and if there is a timeline anticipated for it and what that would entail?
When people refer to the event, it depends on their perspective. Some are referring to the event as the thing that takes place that shocks the world, that wakes up the majority. That will happen. But the event itself is that shift, the planetary shift, the vibrational shift and frequency of everyone. The time frame has been sought out. People are saying different times, but again, it is impossible to nail down the exact time. It will happen within the next few months. It's happening faster now because things are coming together quicker and quicker. For those who know what they're looking for, it's nonstop information and it's moving so fast. But for those who don't know it, they just think the world has lost their minds. And they don't know what's going on. But for those who know, it's unstoppable information. But the event, in terms of the way we speak of it, it's beautiful. It's an awakening. It's the shift. It's when the weight of your physical body will shift because gravity has been turned up to make you feel heavy and stuck. It's the shift that is to allow you're going to breathe and say, this is what it was supposed to be like the whole time. And so that, in terms of the event that we speak of, it is coming. It's not to be feared. You'll know it when it happens. You'll see it happen. And all of the souls who came here and chose to be here will know it when they see it. There are other events that will be taking place, again, as I said, to shock, to wake up. And for those who know what's coming, it's not a shock. They get excited. I've seen pictures, in fact, Mary sent one to Nicolle, of the roller coaster with like the parent that's smiling and having fun and the kid that just wants to die in fear. And that's exactly how it is. It's your higher self and your third dimension self, freaking out over what's going on. The higher self knows it's not scary. It's actually really fun. And it's also the awakened ones are excited and they can't wait for the next thing to come up, while the people who don't know are terrified. And this is why Mary loves information. And it makes her feel at peace. It makes her feel like no matter what comes at her, she feels as though she's the leader of her family, that she is rock solid, connected to what she needs to be to guide them through it. And so instead of being afraid by things that pop up, she's ecstatic. And people think she's crazy. But
you're not alone.
And there's more and more and more of those people waking up. In fact, that connection, as Nicolle spoke about, and the control of the dark and what they've tried to do to humanity. They've been doing it all along, but now it's obvious. And the forcing of the mask wearing and the 6 feet apart and the disconnection with family. And even though certain areas are not on lockdown, people still don't want to interact and they don't want to go out and they don't want to, interact with people they don't know out of fear. Not so much some fear of the virus, some fear of retaliation if they're not participating in it the way that someone else thinks they should. So there's a lot of disconnection. Part of that event will be that all of that is removed. And people will appreciate the being able to be in close proximity with another human and have it not contain that awkwardness. There's power among humans when their bodies come in close proximity. You actually connect vibrationally. As part of the 6-foot separation is that they don't want that to happen. They don't want the stronger vibrational people to affect the weaker.
Wow.
They wanted those people who are weaker to perish. That is why they have sequestered nursing homes and disconnected families. They had no intention of that generation surviving. And so when those disconnections are purposefully put in place so that you can't be together the way you're designed to be, it has made you all feel disconnected and alone. If you're on social media, you're not seeing things that you see or that you believe. They want to control and make you feel isolated and alone. They don't want you connecting. And that was by design, but part of that event, Nicolle, will be that shift where that will stop. And people will be so excited to hug a stranger and to smile at a stranger and to hold open the door and pick up their groceries if they drop them and, help and assist. There are people that are still interacting in that way, but not as many as need to be because of that disconnection. Again, that was by design to separate you. And I know Mary's soul feels it. It makes her heart hurt. So she can't find that a lot. And it's very, very, very difficult for her. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to this channeling that was recorded on October 13th, 2020, through the conduit Mary, who has been channeling the sentient consciousness Michael from the Galactic Federation, which is what you just listened to as a preview of the full recording. If you would like to listen to the full recording, follow the link in the video above to access Bandcamp, where you can purchase the full recording and by doing so show support for the work that we are doing to make this information available. If you feel that you have benefited by listening to this recording and channeling, please feel free to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends or family that you think would similarly resonate or benefit. We appreciate all your support. We hope you have a blessed day.